Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Gonna start off by giving you a short overview of the situation here, of the article here. Gonna try to keep it short. I might fail in my attempt to do that. And then I'll give some commentary. It will be pointless waffle, no doubt. There is a link in the description. And it is quite an important subject in the grand scheme of things. It's an English situation. It stems from the British Transport Police and also Transport for London. They have a campaign against sexual harassment on public transport, notably the trains. And they're campaigning against sexual harassment that comes in the form of upskirting, catcalling, and staring. Do you know what these things mean? Well, let's have a quick look. Upskirting is when you take a photo, or hang on, I don't mean you specifically, when some weirdo takes a photo or video of typically a lady or a girl, even, up their skirt. I mean, it's disgusting, it's despicable, it's degenerate, it's weird, it's perverse, and it's absolutely criminal and absolutely should be prosecuted. And there should be campaigns to try to stamp out or call attention to this disgusting act of upskirting. Absolutely in full agreement with that. So it's also tackling the sexual harassment in regards to catcalling. Bit of a grey area. What is catcalling? Catcalling is calling out typically to women and girls. Again, not necessarily always, but making a somewhat of a banterish comment or noise, typically in some way complimenting the woman or girl on their appearance. So it can be, or, oh, you're looking nice tonight, love, or whatever it is. Those kinds of comments are catcall. And what's my feeling in regards to that? Well, very quickly, if it's in regards to a girl, then that's creepy, and don't fucking do that, you weirdo. And if it's in regards to a woman, well, that's also pretty creepy. But I'm going to say that it's kind of part of culture to an extent. It's part of British culture, I believe, or certainly it has been. I believe it has been a part of American culture. So to some extent, it's kind of normal to me. It doesn't shock me. I don't find it overly offensive. I've never catcalled. I've never, not once, catcalled. I'm not the catcalling type of guy. I'm far too sophisticated for such things. But it's at the same time, it's not something which I find overly offensive towards women. However, what the fuck do I know? Some women do find it offensive, and I think I think it's more understandable if and when the catcallings happen a lot. There is one video which became viral several years ago, a woman walking through New York City, I believe, and getting catcalled dozens of times. I think the video may have been debunked to some extent. I'm not too sure. But if we were to presume, maybe incorrectly, that there's at least some truth to that, then I think we can say that on some occasions, some women are going to get catcalled a lot when they're walking through busy areas. And yeah, so there's going to be some level of discomfort there. I would think that there is some argument to put some pressure on society to discourage catcalling. I would go with that. At the same time, and I might be unnecessarily muddling things at this point. I'm thinking in my brain that of a clip that I saw earlier today on Reddit of two youngish women in their, let's say, early 20s, walking in India, somewhere in India, some city, through some market, and it is heaving with people. I don't know how many people would be in the area, but thousands. It's like a sea of people. And these two youngish women in their early 20s, they're being harassed by, I'm going to say, dozens of men. They're scared. There's aerial footage from a drone or such. You can see in their actions and their faces, they are scared of being attacked, physically, sexually attacked. Some people like this are murdered in situations like this, even in the daylight, even in public, with hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people in close vicinity, in India, these women are scared. And why were they being harassed? Well, because they were wearing jeans. And I can't even say t-shirts. They were just wearing like a normal blouse or something like that. But seemingly it was, I don't know, too sexual or not, whatever the right word is, humble enough, whatever it is. And most of the men and women are wearing smocks of some kind. I'm not trying to be offensive, by the way. I'm just using an example. And maybe I'm using a poor example, but it just strikes me that, I don't know, it just kind of, in some ways, puts catcalling in some level of perspective. Maybe I'm wrong to try to use perspective, but it's certainly, catcalling is not on the same level of sexual harassment that you would experience in other cities, namely in India. Okay, so I've gone on a ramble there. Apologies for that. So back to the article. Staring. So that's what these guys are hoping to basically penalize, to stop the act of staring with sexual intent from being considered normal. We're not allowed to consider staring normal anymore. And quite literally, at least one person has been imprisoned for staring. So it tells us in this article about a gentleman, well, maybe he's not a gentleman, but let's say a man at least, Dominic Bullock, 26 years of age, from Thatcham, which I believe is in Berkshire, England, and he's been sentenced to 22 weeks in prison, close to 6 months in prison, after a woman reported him for continuously staring at her on a train. Okay, now we're going to read through the next couple of paragraphs, but I'll let you know now, that's it. There's nothing mentioned other than staring. There's no mention that, oh, he was staring at me and then he came up and sexually assaulted me, he groped me, he made sexual remarks, he made sexual threats towards me. No, it is just the staring that got him imprisoned for 22 weeks in prison. Now, I'm disgusted by that. That's ridiculous. If it was only staring, nothing more than staring, to me that does not justify a prison sentence, let alone nearly 6 months. It's completely out of whack. So we will look through this little bit here. Dominic Bullock, 26 years of age, from Thatcham, I believe in Berkshire, England, was found guilty of causing intentional harassment, alarm or distress after he sat next to the victim on the train and began staring at her very intently. The victim, the lady, asked this guy to stop staring several times as it was making her feel uncomfortable, but he refused. Okay, so he refused. The British Transport Police Sergeant said that that it was clear from this guy's persistent and distressing actions that he is a danger to women and girls. And I object to that. I do object to that. And I know my viewpoint is going to be somewhat controversial. Some of you guys will agree with me. Some of you won't. And regrettably, I would say some of you women, some of the ladies that listen to this will have experienced uncomfortable times when you have been stared at and it's made you uncomfortable. So you're perhaps going to be more in agreement that some level of punishment is justified. I'm not really in that position myself. My feeling is that, look, we're all going to look, we're all going to stare, we all have brains, we all have a libido. Almost all of us are attracted to other human beings. Shout out to the furries as being a bit of an exception there. But we're all going to look. So where is the line between looking and staring? I mean, it's a grey area, is it not? And maybe this is justified in the sense that the so-called victim said, hey, look, can you stop staring at me? And the guy apparently didn't. But, what's he supposed to do? Cover up his eyes, look down at the floor? What's he supposed to do? Look at the ceiling? Maybe he was just minding his own business. We don't know. Or maybe he did find this lady attractive, and that's where his eyes wandered to. Because he has a brain in his head, and the brain says procreation. We find certain people attractive. I don't know. Am I downplaying this too much? Am I trivializing this too much? Am I condoning sexual harassment? Am I being disgusting? Is that what I'm doing? I don't think so. I just think that yes, there are examples that I'm sure absolutely there are times when someone will stare intently and it's not good. It's going to cause discomfort. Absolutely. But there's a difference between discomfort and being a danger. Staring in, if that's it, if it's no more than that, there's no threats made, verbal threats made, there's no physical contact made or attempted to be made, then there can be no justification for imprisonment for staring. That's just crazy in my mind. We're going to have a look at this paragraph here. The campaign aims to challenge the normalization and dismissal of this behavior of staring as something that happens to women and girls on public transport and in other public spaces, making it clear that it is never acceptable and that the strongest possible action will always be taken. I just find this absurd. Look, we know that women, I mean, I could say girls, but, let's just not go there, but women and men, but more so women, and boys, but let's not go there. So let's just stick with women. Look, women sexualize themselves. Not all women, don't get me wrong, not at all times. And hey, I'm not saying that that would make any level of sexual harassment justified, but women do sexualize themselves. They choose to. It's a choice. Not all women again, but some women will wear particularly sexually alluring clothing and makeup and arrange their hair in an alluring manner, etc., etc., and wear high heels and wear lipstick to mimic other parts of the body, high heels to extenuate the legs, to do something to the muscles so that they stretch out or whatever it is, yeah? Women put themselves out there some of the time, and if you don't believe me, look at your celebrities. I'm thinking of Miley Cyrus. I quite often think of Miley Cyrus as it happens. No, I'm only joking there. But Miley Cyrus, remember when she went from clean cut to not so clean cut, and she was on the MTV VMA Awards or whatever it happens to be with Robin Thicke, wearing basically a leotard and showing off as much as herself as she possibly could. Micro bikinis. Have you seen micro bikinis? Tiny little things, absurdly tiny little things. Remember when Sacha Baron Cohen, what's his name, Borat, he had his movie called Borat, and he's wearing that mankini, and we all across the world thought, oh, that's ridiculous, what a weirdo. Nowadays, that's what people are wearing. So, people do make themselves attractive. That's attractive. People do attempt to make themselves sexually attractive. I'm going to say women in particular. You may disagree with me, but I'm pretty much going to be right on that. And with that, we're going to use our eyes, and we're going to have sexual thoughts. We have brains. We have libidos. It's just how it is. So to me, this is ridiculous, and it needs to be stopped. You cannot have the British Transport Police think that it is okay to jail somebody for 6 months or close to 6 months merely for staring. Okay? I would have thought a stern word to that guy would have been enough. I remember when I was younger, I had a friend who would stare at ladies too much, and several people addressed that with him. I remember one time we were in an elevator, And instead of looking at the elevator door or looking at each other, you know, our friends, and talking with ourselves or whatever, he turned around and faced this woman and just stared at her for the duration of the elevator ride. It was weird. So, you know, I didn't call the cops on him. I didn't ask for him to be arrested. I didn't feel the need to ask if the lady felt she was sexually harassed. I just had a word with him and said, mate, don't do that. It's fucking weird. You know, you're going to make people uncomfortable. You're in an elevator. They're a foot away from you. You didn't have to look directly at her. Yes, she was attractive. So what? Get over it. Do something else with your eyes. You know, taking things legally in regards to this is too much. Anyway, so I've rambled on for too much. This is actually my third attempt to make this video. I've tried to reduce the rambling, but I seem to not be able to. So I'm going to wrap things up at this point. If you do like this, do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. And take care, guys. Don't fucking stare, weirdos.